Okay, welcome to the test drive part of the video. I'm exceptionally excited about this because today I get to put a seatbelt on. So if that doesn't show you what we're about to experience, I don't know what will. My name's Dan Jones. Welcome to Dan's Boat Life, and today I'm on the Rafnar 1100. This thing's insane. I have just been for a drive, sitting in the back seat flying the drone, and capability is definitely its middle name, but we're probably going to come up with a few other words as we go through this test drive because this thing's really, really unique. This boat is designed for a man with a mission, and someone with a clear mission in mind. These guys can clearly make that happen for you. And what do I mean by that? They've got a thing called the OK hull, which is designed and manufactured in Finland, and now they've got some boats being built under license elsewhere. The OK hull, if you picture, or just imagine an aeroplane wing and how it gives you lift. Now just flip it upside down. This thing's kind of sucking us in towards the ocean. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but the hull is designed to maintain contact with the sea in a very different way compared to a lot of the cutting bow style of boats that you've seen me test before. There's a bit of a real interesting bulb, if you like, underneath the boat. And that has hydrodynamically has the effect of giving you suction, or opposite to lift. It's pushing down on the boat, and it just enables them to create a hull that can be matched with all sorts of different and interesting variations and types. So there's going to be a walkthrough video. We're going to film that not long after this. We're just dodging rain showers today because the weather in Sydney has been quite changeable. I suggest you subscribe and follow the link and watch the walkthrough video because this is a very, very interesting piece of kit. But as I said, this is the test drive, so let's get the boat moving. About 5 tons, empty weight, triple rig setup, this one. We've got 300 horsepower, 3 of them, 3 fuel tanks individually supplying to each motor through a manifold, and 900 litres in total. 2 of us on board, a little bit of gear, just to give you an idea of what we're facing in terms of weight. I've got an amazing setup here at the helm. I'm actually not going to go through all that right now because I'm dodging these rain showers. I'm going to cover that in the walkthrough, and I'm just going to get the boat driving and talk to you about what I experienced. My throttle hand is the right hand, steering wheel, really, really comfortable and easy to hand. I've just accelerated the boat through 3,000 revs, and we're going straight into swell today because basically the weather is a little bit changeable. We've had 25 knots steady from the south for a few days now, gusting to 30 at times. We've got swell coming in, and we've got wind chop going that way, and rain clouds and rain passing every sort of 5 or 10 minutes or so. Couldn't think of a better boat to be doing it on, but rolling through 18, 19 knots, I'm immediately feeling this hull form doing its job. So I started with 3 degrees of engine trim on the motors. We don't have any trim tabs on this particular hull because you don't need it. The boat does the work for you. So you really just rest your hand on the throttles, get driving, and look around and make sure you're safe, because this thing is capable of some high speeds. I'm sitting on 3,600 revs there, 3,500, and we're just rolling through 24 knots, and I'm not going to wind it up to full speed until I really get a good feel for the boat just yet. And I'm rolling out past Barrenjoey headland and through some waves. There's one. Wow, amazing. So we're rolling 1 metre to 2 metre surf waves at times, what we had on the drone shoot. And I'm actually just going to take us sort of out across the bay here and around Line Island, and we'll just see how this thing feels. 3,600 revs. I'll take that speed up a little bit. My visibility is good. This really is a sit-down boat. I've got an adjustable footrest at the helm and amazing suspension seats. So we're just gonna roll over some of these waves here. Now, if you hear some creaking and moaning, that is the suspension seats. They are all brand new. It's a brand spanking new boat. This is probably the second or third time it's been for a drive. But I do believe you have to do some initial servicing for them to stop making some suspension noise. So just be aware of that. Sitting on that 3,600 revs, 25 knots in what is clearly not flat water, capability remains the word that comes to mind, because you know, if you've got a mission in mind, if you have an island, if you've got an explorer yacht, if you might be in the military. I'll tell you what, I see those guys running around in all the special operations boats on Sydney Harbour. I can think of a lot of much better hulls than what you guys are driving at the moment. Numerous examples of what I've driven already outpace a lot of those military boats that I see on Sydney Harbour, and this just blows it out of the water. 25 knots, I'm just going to increase the pace. I got large rolling swells coming from my starboard beam right now, and water getting thrown up across the boat, which I would expect at this sort of conditions. Really considerable swell. These are the conditions that I just wouldn't do a photo shoot on in many other boats. But when I saw the forecast today, and knowing the boat that I was going to be on, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Wow, look at that. So I'm going to be going down swell pretty soon. I'm just maintaining a 28 knot cruising speed across large rolling swell. I've got rain, I got sea spray. This is not a calm sort of pleasure boat kind of day for most people, but it's absolutely what this thing is capable of doing. I'm just going to weave my way through some of these waves. So, what am I learning? Wow, it's a big swell there. Definitely, we're not even working hard at the moment because we're just sitting in that 3,500 to 3,700 rev range, and the boat's got a 25 to 27 knot speed return at that rev range. So there's a lot more legs in this boat, which we will experience soon. I'm just going to make sure I get my way through some of these quite considerable waves. So just bear with me, guys. If I go quiet, it's because I'm concentrating, and I know there's plenty of fishing pots around here, so I'm going to keep an eagle eye out to make sure I don't run over any, because we've got some considerable swell there. So I'm going to go this way, then I'm going to go that way. Wow, this is heaps of pickup. So when you hit the back of the next wave, you feel a little bit of deceleration, but the hull's just working. It's just working there. And the other thing I noticed, like I'm surfing at times, and then I'm running into the next wave, and these are big waves, but the boat's tracking incredibly well. In conditions like this, some boats that I've driven would have the tendency to want to spear off in another direction, or I'd really have to work the wheel. I've got large rolling swells behind me. I feel like I could take my hand off the wheel and this thing's going to track. Well, let's just try it. Look at this. We're in pretty decent swell here, and this boat is just tracking straight. Here we go. Now we're surfing. Wow, man. That is capable. Okay, I've just got an eagle eye out at the moment, guys, so just bear with me for a second because I don't want to run over any of these fishing pots which are often in this location. So I'm just doing that at 17, 18 knots. I could go faster. I don't think you would in these sorts of conditions, because this is just, this is proper rough stuff. So let's just hook it through now. A little bit of deceleration on the back of that wave there. Coming through at 20 knots. Okay, so now I'm going to dart off. I'm going to actually find some calmer water and run it through its paces. Okay, all clear there. Can't see any pots. just bringing the speed up through 23, 24 knots there. And now we've got wind on our port bow, just coming across the bow there. And I'm up to 3,800 revs and getting into slightly flatter water in a second. Let's take it upwind and just feel the boat for a sec. So the engine trim does make considerable difference or improvement on the performance of this hull. So if you had the engine trim all the way down, I don't think you're going to be getting the full benefit of this OK hull system, because I think by giving it a few degrees, wow, I hit that at 27 knots and she just goes. I think by giving her a few degrees of engine trim up, she's in a real happy place with this triple rig setup, and the boat just feels right. So let's just wind up the speed. Now I'm exposed to the ocean swell coming back in through the heads here. We got a driving rainstorm, and I'm just cruising along at 29, 30 knots. And I'm not going to open it up until I get into flat water and I feel my visibility is a little bit better. Jesus. So the pickup is something else. Driving rain. So it wasn't raining. If you're cutting to the drone shots and seeing some sunshine, you'll see that we didn't do it all at the same time, but that is what it is, the trick of YouTube. Wow. So I've just got no hesitation to just run into these waves. Obviously you're trying to approach it at the right angle and be sensible, leave your throttle hand on the throttle as you should on any fast boat. But I feel, first thing, I don't feel like I need this seatbelt just yet, but I'm sure if I was going into the waves that'd be a different story. But I really do feel in control. I've got wonderful visibility. If my mission was to keep some guests comfortable, safe and secure, transiting between the island to the mainland, or going from my big boat to the mainland, this thing's going to eat it up. This thing's going to absolutely eat it up. Okay, here we are, we're back inshore, starting to get into the calm water. I'm just cruising at 36 knots, still punching through a couple little waves. I think it's time to put this boat through its paces, give it some wide open throttle and do some turns. I have experienced what this hull is capable of doing, and it's amazing. Like, it can really turn on a dime, and I think we need to show you that. So before we do, wow, look at that. I just hit that wave at 35 knots. Let's just hook up into here and find some flat water where I can open it up. I'm just coming across choppy water with waves, wind chop, a little bit of ocean swell left, and the breeze is probably sitting at around 25 knots at times, and then it's going to be bulleting down through these hills. But here's a nice open run. Let's just give it some. I'm going to do wide open throttle now, 4,000, 5,000 revs, 5,300 revs. I've got 3 degrees of engine trim. Okay, wide open, that's 5.5, 5.6. I'm going to give it a little bit more engine trim up. 46 knots, 47 knots. It certainly doesn't feel like 47 knots. Oh my God. 5,700. I'll give it another little trim up just to see if that changes anything. 5,800 revs, 5,900 revs, 48 knots into the breeze. We're going into the breeze at 48 knots, and this thing is solid. Jesus, that is awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to just come through here. One boat there, another boat there, clear all around me. I got to say the visibility is good. You know, you do have these pillars here and here, but because you've got a window, it's not a hindrance at all. And I like the looks externally. Like, this thing looks strong. So let's come into this turn, drop it back out to 3 degrees, and let's just do a moderate turn. I hit that turn at 35 knots, and maintaining same throttle input, at 4,600 revs, and I'm just holding that at 34.5 knots. So we barely lost any speed. That's a nice wide turn. So let's tighten that turn up a little bit. And this is where this hull, it's very interesting because it's like, if any of you are sailors, it's like you have a little keel under the boat. Like I am just, if you can see my turning circle, I'm just tightening this turning circle, and the boat is just doing it. Like this is like nothing I've ever seen before. I wish we had the drone to put this into perspective. Here we go, someone's coming in for a little squiz, because I'm tightening it. Oh my God. I've never done anything like this before in my life. It's still going. Jesus. Crikey. That's like, so, holy shit, we're gonna get this from the drone. That's insane. So I just started at a high speed turn, wide, and I tightened it and tightened it and tightened it. I didn't get any cavitation. The boat just kept going, and I did slow down because this Riviera 3600 was coming in for a geezer, but I didn't want to hit him. I feel like I could have just maintained that speed and just keep going around and around and around. So that's, when you're doing those hard turns and you can feel the G-force in this sexy seat here, you really could notice the hull profile, but you feel like you've got grip from this part of the boat. The boat just wants to hold you in that turn. So if I do it again, I'm just going to do some S turns now. I got 2.3 degrees engine trim. I'm going to take that back to 3, and I'll just do I'll feel the boat here. I'm just doing that at 35 knots. Wow. Oh, this is sick. Like, so this is very, very much like on rails. You know, some boats will claim that it feels like you're on rails. This boat really is. So this is where you need a seat like this. I'm doing this at 35 knots. I reckon I can do it even faster. Oh, sick! I'm increasing speed and I'm not drifting whatsoever in the turn. So I think, who's going to use performance like that? Well, really, it's the military. Who's going to benefit from performance like that? Us. Thank you very much. Like, really, it's for having fun and being able to be comfortable in adverse conditions and transit between locations without any concerns. You know, the weather forecast is not going to be an issue or a consideration to you in a boat like this. You know, when you have that mission in mind, I think that's when you think about a Rafnar. When you have that specific goal or that set of goals that you need a unique platform, like, I can tell that's when you want to marry up that mission or that goal with a Rafnar, because doing close to 50 knots up the upwind and holding a turn and tightening it at 35 knots whilst remaining in control, it just gives you like such a huge range of options that your fun that you want to have, be it off your support vessel, off your expedition yacht, out to your island, up to your resort, like, you can absolutely do that. And whilst it looks all mean and crazy right now in the turns that I'm doing, I'm kind of just doing that to show you that the boat is exceptionally capable. You can just sit at 30 knots like we are right now, comfortably in the air conditioned comfort, in the shade, and get to your destination not exhausted like you would on some boats. And I think that's the benefit that this hull design is going to give you. Anyway, why don't we just try one more full speed run downwind? I think we should. I think it's necessary. Okay, 2.3 degrees trim, bring that up to 3 degrees. Revs coming through 5,300, 44 knots and climbing. Okay, that's wide open throttle, 5,700, 5,800. I'm going to give it a little bit more trim up, 3.5 degrees trim, 5,950. I'm rolling through 49 knots and climbing, straight line, wind behind me, 49.5 knots I've just seen, and not in flat water. Sick. Wow. All right. What's my wrap up on the Rafnar 1100? If capability is what you desire, if a specific mission is what you have in mind, and if cruising speeds at 30 knots to 35 knots with top speeds of 50 knots with payload on board is you, then you absolutely need to look at the Rafnar 1100. My name's Dan Jones. This has been the Dan's Boat Life. I'll see you on the next one.